Number four, you
Okay.
provide examples from France, from Brazil, from Germany to address lies, to, as you put it, shore up their systems against demagogues who would seek to use lies to destroy democracy. That includes the German law denying certain speech about the Holocaust. You made the point that the German law is protecting, quote unquote, public safety rather than private property. This says something important about their values. So what will it take for Americans to acknowledge that this industrial scale lying is a matter of public safety?
So I think one of the things that we can do is, let me just give you an example of what England has done, and then some good news out of California. So England has a law, and the reason I'm picking England is that people listening to this are going to be thinking, okay, we're not looking at some, fly-by-night country or what the president would denigrate as countries that are not worthy of our looking at them, and I'm not going to repeat his language. So England, obviously, we come from an English legal tradition. They have a law that if you are found, after due process is accorded, to have lied about your political opponent, you are barred from holding that office. And the last time it was applied, it was to somebody who lied about their political opponent. And by the person who found to have lied won. And the court said, you cannot sit because you did that. In New York, which is where I'm from, and in Better New Yorker, if you are found to, after, again, due process, to committed any felony when you are a public official, you are automatically out of office because it's considered so antithetical under New York law to what it means to be a public official. California, according to Gavin Newsom, who tweeted about this, he just signed into law a statute that said that if you lie about ballots with the intent to undermine ballot access and ballot counting, that is a crime. And so the answer to your question is, where do I see potential movement here? At the state level. The state can regulate their own elections. They can have their own rules. It's, famously, the states are viewed as the laboratory of democracy. And that's where I see there can be real potential movement. Obviously, the current Congress, they can't seem to do much of anything. And so that's not going to happen now. But it also isn't going to happen unless people want it and react to it. And, this is one where, we still have the power of the vote as much as it's being challenged. So that I'm not saying that at the federal level it's going to happen anytime soon, but I really want
you're reluctant to talk about constitutional amendments just because that's such an enormous, bar to get across.
I wanted to try and figure out things that could work and work now. That one of the things I say at the end is I am all for more civics education, but I do not really want to hear from people saying that we have to do that, because it's true. Of course it's true, but it's not solving for an immediate problem. I think my analogy was, the Titanic hits an iceberg and the captain says, you know what, I think we really have to invest in greater research on radar. That is true, but not the time and place.
I confess that I'm frequently talking about the need for better education, ultimately a more informed electorate, but that's
you're right.
Long-term
of course
challenge.
You're right. Yeah, I mean, you are right. It's just, that is, I think that it's important. This reminds me a lot of times when I was the general counsel of the FBI, I definitely thought about, what do agents and the analysts need now? What is the immediate concern, and what are sort of midterm and sort of long-term projects, and sort of divided things that I was doing into those buckets.
But I want to stick for 1 second on this question of the values that underlie all of this. Again, sort of in the German context, they talk about it in terms of public safety, versus the more traditional approach for Americans, which is private property. I mean, is that the kind of shift, focus on the reason why these changes are needed? Because it's endangering people, it's endangering the society. Is that something that we're capable of getting to?
I do think it's endangering society. In the German context, there also was a concern about the undermining of human dignity and the personhood in the specific law they were dealing with there, which you referenced, which is the denial of the Holocaust. I do think we can get there, where it seems like we're obviously a long way away from that.
Yeah.
And the idea of, as John F. Kennedy said, ask not what you can, what your country can do for you, but this, which is, to me, just seems like the total Trump ethos, which is very, very selfish and sort of like, what am I getting out of it? Which, by the way, of course, people are entitled to that, or to think about what is the country doing to make our lives better. But the other flip side of that is, the tens of thousands of people who in the military and public service every day, whether here, overseas, who are doing things for the country. And the idea of acting out of principle and of patriotism is one where there are so many people who are doing that, but it is not the mainstream that has sort of captured the attention of our political world and our mainstream media.
Yeah, well, to suffice to say, there needs to be a lot of shift in public consciousness before we get to that point where where values about our well-being end up being the focal point for our national leaders.